And justice for all? There is no justice for all.
Problems is that when you give a lot of new upcomers a chance, sometimes it can backfire. What is the deal with this lawsuit that this woman Carla Boone is filing against you, saying that you stole Young and Holla Back?
I just heard about this thing yesterday. Like, I don't know how she figured this song came from her, like...
Could it be, if she has a case...
She has no case.
I guess, let me just start it off with the scenario of, I guess, switching shoes. You and your man create a group, come up with $1 million idea, came from nothing, you aspire to do something with it, only to have it snatched from you. And sometimes you wonder what's worse, having it snatched from you or having it thrown in your face every day. Indirectly, but it's direct enough for me. I see this person allegedly taking my stuff, living the life I'm supposed to be living, and I'm still in the same room that I wrote the song in. Only difference is the bed was on the other side of this room. But if you want to call it a room, it's more like a closet with a window. So, could you imagine how that feels every day? It builds a certain type of feeling inside you. It's not good.
I have to say that when you look at both of them, they do not appear at first blush to be very similar.
Girl, I told you over and over again, you are not to date while crabbing. You only have time for practice and hard work. If you let me or any other upperclassman catch you doing this again, I'm suspending you. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now get up and get to your dorm.
Hey, look at this. We got a girl online. G.I. Jane in the house. Hey, baby, you might want to do some girl push-ups because, you know, guys like a little something soft to hold on to. Damn!
Hey, man, I wouldn't do that if I was you.
Who in the hell are you? I mean, look, don't tell me you're just trying to come up here and make this band.
Well, yeah, I've always wanted to be here.
I love this band. I grew up right down the street. When I was little, I could hear them practicing down the block from my house. I'd be outside playing.
Now that's what this great band looks like when it's showtime.
Showtime?
What time is it? Showtime! What time is it? Showtime!
It's showtime!
I knew it was going to cost a lot of money, okay? And I didn't have the money that I thought it would take to file a lawsuit like this against the giant as 20th Century Fox, which my intentions were never to go against 20th Century Fox. It was always to Dallas Austin because I thought that too stole my movie. But I mean, I happened to be at work one day, and here's the funny thing. I was working at Fox 5 here in Atlanta, which is an affiliate of 20th Century Fox.
Yes.
I filed it. And we had this big old press conference here in Atlanta, and CNN was there, BET was there, all the news people were there. Fox, because I was working at Fox 5, and it's an affiliate of all the Fox companies of Fox, the lady from 20th Century Fox sent an email to all Fox employees. This guy, whoever this is bogus, is whatever. Didn't know I was working in the system. So I got the email.
Exactly.
And then somewhere, because she kept sending emails to all employees or whatever, and then someone whispered back to LA and said, he works here. So we better be careful on what we're saying. The next day I was fired. Wow. I was at work, and my supervisor, just after we did Good Day Atlanta, she came in and closed my door. She says, we know all about your little lawsuit against us, and we're sorry, we're gonna have to let you go.
Wow. And where did you go from there?
I went to depression. I mean, it landed me in the hospital. It was a mess. I was, my dad had a stroke 2 years earlier, and I then started to watch what I was eating and the whole high blood pressure thing and all that stuff. I had never had any high blood pressure or any of that stuff. Here I was 2 years later, my doctor said I was at stroke level with the stress of the whole lawsuit, the being released at Fox, because once I was released, that was 60% of my income. So then I'm faced with foreclosures and just all kind of financial things because I lost my job. And it wasn't because of performance. It was because I filed a lawsuit because somebody stole something from me.
I created the character Bob Spongy, the unemployed sponge, when I was very, very down, very depressed, young. I was 24 years old. I was wondering, God, what am I going to do with my life? I was very, very creative, as I've always been, always coming up with ideas, but it wasn't paying off. And I felt like a sponge. My mom was always there with me, always coaching me along to keep my head up, to feel better about things. I said, Mom, I just feel like a sponge. And I came up with this character, just bing, right in my head, named Mr. Spongy, the unemployed sponge. So I drew up a short little comic strip based on this character, Mr. Spongy. That was his name initially, Mr. Spongy. I just took a plain piece of white paper and doodled this comic strip, a short little comic strip, a 4-panel comic strip starring Mr. Spongy. Then my mom, who's very creative, and I think I get a lot of my creative energies and creative talents from my mom, but my mom came along and my mom was like, Troy, let's name him Bob. His name should be Bob Spongy. He needs a first name. So I was like, hey, Mom, that works. Bob lived in a little house on Apple Street with his wife, Linda, and their daughter, Bubbles. And Bob had a boss. And in the short little comic strip, Bob Spongy is laid off from his job at the local soap factory. I also made some Bob Spongy sponge dolls, which they look just like this right here. And I took some basically real kitchen sponges. I had an assortment of colors. We did 1,000 of them. And they were yellow. The majority of them were yellow. We had some that were turquoise and some that were pink. And glued big plastic googly eyes to them. Did a little dot nose, a mouth, and glued the comic strip, the Bob Spongy, Mr. Bob Spongy, the unemployed comic strip, to the back of the Bob Spongy dolls. Then I packaged them up in plastic bags and started to sell them on the streets of Northern California. I took ads out in the newspaper, the Oakland Tribune, which the ads were titled Sponge for Hire. That was like my slogan, Sponge for Hire. Meet Bob Spongy, the unemployed sponge. Oh my God, well, ironically, one of the videos that Nickelodeon would come out with is actually called Sponge for Hire, which is the exact title that was on the Bob Spongy, the unemployed sponge dolls. And they even came out with a sponge doll that's just like this. Where's his arms, legs? There's nothing here. It's just like this.
William Crawford III filed his original screenplay titled Psyops with the U.S. Copyright Office. Crawford filed a copyright infringement suit against Midway for its video game, coincidentally titled Psyops, The Mindgate Conspiracy, which registered for its copyright 6 years later in July of 2004.
When you came home and you sat down, you relaxing, and you cut on this program, you're watching Eddie Murphy, you start chuckling, and then you realize it was your work you were looking at. How did that make you feel?
I had a set of golf clubs on my back, and if I thought that, my thought was to bust the TV screen out. And if I thought that busting that screen out, it would have actually smacked them in the face, I would have smacked them and gone about my business and never filed a lawsuit. That's how angry I was about it. Your first reaction is not money, it's to fight. And that's one of the things that these copyright pirates and these lawyers and attorneys don't understand. That's one of the things that they don't understand, okay? They thinking this first thought is to go out and sue. No, the first thing is not to go out and sue. We're born not with silver spoons in our mouths. So it's not like, well, they just took $100 million from me. No, you just took a part of me. And one of the things that people need to understand is if you take, a woman has a child, and you take that child away from that woman, and you go and you take the child and you can dress him up in all kinds of clothes or whatever, and I'm going to tell you, you put them in the same room, that woman is going to know that's her child. And that's the same thing with an artist's work. Hello, attorneys. You know, it's the same thing, whether you guys know that or not. You can dress it up, but you cannot hide it. We're going to know that that's our work. In the movie Life, Eddie Murphy plays this character called Ray, or Rayford. And in the movie, in the play No Harm, No Foul, which I wrote, I played the character Bojack. When you compare the two, you won't see any difference. They went so far as to, in some scene, we're both wearing wife beaters. And this was way back in, Life was supposedly be back in Mississippi in 1930 or 40 or something like that. In a prison. There's not one prison gate around. Not one prison fence. There are no cells. But that was the same setting from my play No Harm, No Foul. When you file a copyright lawsuit case, it's not necessary that you prove that you're going to win in order to go before a jury. All you have to do is prove that it is possible, that you got a possibility that the jury can rule in your favor. That's a very low threshold. Then your cases, by law, are permitted to go before a trial. When you give a judge the kind of power and discretion that they have today, it's almost unchecked and it's almost unprecedented. That's why the jury system was invoked, to take that away. And now judge circumvent that again with summary judgment. It was given right back to them. But anytime you give, not just judges, but any person that much power and discretion, usually that power becomes so intoxicating to that person's own detriment. And revolt and revolution is not out of the question.
Yo, too bad I can't save myself from the crime side. It's everywhere you look, we trapped in it until the day that we die. The crime side, too bad I can't save myself from the crime side. It's everywhere you look, we trapped in it until the day that we die. The crime side of the crime side, where the weak commit suicide. Stay on the streets, making a living, escape prison. Finally I found out a way to keep my mind from decaying. I play ball in the yard till they call down my lawyer, she lied to me.